kids, welcome back to our YouTube channel. I'm Ms. Aruni covering your grade 11 business and accounting studies. So today we are going to discuss about our lesson number 4, financial statements of a business. So why do we need to have financial statements? So as you could remember, we said that we first record transactions on the prime entry book, then we post it to the ledger, we balance the ledger, and we extract those balances into the trial balance, and then we prepare the financial statements. The need for preparing financial statements is because we have to provide to different stakeholders the business position and the results of the business. So we prepare two main financial statements, the profit and loss statement and the statement of financial position. So let's first discuss about the profit and loss statement. So whenever we are discussing about the income minus the expenses or how whether we had profits or loss, how the business behaved, we show that through our trading and profit and loss account or the profit and loss statement. So this is the format of the profit and loss statement. We write the business name and then the account name, trading and profit and loss account for the year ended and the date. So initially we calculate the gross profit or loss by deducting cost of goods sold or cost of sales from the sales value, right? And to that we add the net profit or we take the net profit by adding income and minusing it from expenses made. So finally, it is this net profit that we take to the statement of financial position. So this is how we prepare the profit and loss statement. Then the statement of financial position. It is prepared as at a particular date to show the assets and the ownership of it. So only the three main elements of the accounting equation, the assets, liabilities, and equity will be considered here. So we write the business name, the statement name, statement of financial position, and it is as at and the particular date. So first we record non-current assets, then current assets, and we write the total. Then we see whether the total of equity and liabilities equals to this total of the assets. So if both tally, it means that our accounting method we done was correct, as well as we have properly kept the records. So this is how you have to have your formats put there. So whenever there's a business given, whenever an activity is given, you are writing business name, the trade and profit and loss account, and the particular date. Right? Similar one for the statement of financial position. In your exam, you have to make a similar format and also leave ample amount of space. Why I'm saying so is because there can be just one value for sales, but leave one line in case you have another one or any error. Then keep 2 to 3 lines for cost of sales. There can be purchases, opening stock or the closing stock, and the carriage inwards. Right? Then leave 2 lines so that you can calculate the gross profit or loss. Right? So that means approximately 6 lines after cost of sales, and then write income. You have 2 to 3 income records, and then you classify distribution, sales and distribution expenses. You leave a few lines, administrative expenses, finance and other expenses, so that when you do so, you can easily do your recordings at the exam, right? So if you practice this in your when you do this in home, and once you go to the exam, you can easily manage your time. Similarly, in the statement of financial position, you can have a particular format. You can easily extract that and record your transactions. So I'm going to discuss about the activity number 10 with you. This is about Bimal's business. So could you see that I have used stars and red color triangles, blue stars, red triangles? This is because I have classified all the transactions or all the accounts using blue stars, showing that they only fall for the statement of financial position. And those like red triangles are ones that goes to the trading and profit and loss account. So when you do so, if you have two particular symbols for income statement ones and those for the statement of financial position, you can easily take the transactions. So see here, assuming that the entire stock has been sold out, falls for both, right? There are such transactions, so you have to be careful. So we have to consider each account and record them in the profit and loss statement as well as the statement of financial position. So this is the first one, capital 400,000. I have taken it to the equity. Under equity, I write capital and 400,000. Then trade debtors 34,000, trade creditors 45,000. Since there are no adjustments, I'm going to take them. Trade debtors 34,000, under current liabilities creditors 45,000. Stock, opening stock is 16,000, right? Where do I need it? I need it in calculating the cost of sales. So opening stock, I have written it here, right? Purchases 395,000, carriage inwards 15,000. Both goes for the cost of sales. So I'm recording it there, right? Then sales commission 9,000. Since it is a debit value, it means that I have given commission so that it also can be taken to the cost of sales, right? Later on, the next one is insurance expense 12,000. So it's an expense. Is it a selling and distribution one? Do we incur it because we do sales? No. So it is an administrative expense. I write the insurance and the value. Next one is rent income 30,000. So under income, I write the 30,000. Right? Discount received 6,000, sales 650,000. Discount received 6,000. Am I going to write sales under income? No. Sales should be going up. It is the first entry in the trade and profit and loss statement. So I write it there. Then discounts given 3,000. So discounts given is a sales and distribution expense. So it is recorded here as 3,000. Right? Next, machinery 120,000, building 500,000. So both goes to the statement of financial position under non-current assets. Bank loan to be settled after 4 years is 160,000. So it shows that there will be a certain long-term period. So I have to take it under non-current liabilities as loan and 160,000 is recorded. Right? Interest expense 16,000. So I have to write it under financial and other expenses. Bank OD 20,000. It's a credit given to us. So we consider it under the current liabilities. Cash in hand 155,000. Are we going to take it to the trade and profit and loss statement? No, we don't. It goes to the statement of financial position as cash. Right? Then bad debt 7,000. When the bad debts amount is given in the trial balance, it shows that we have already deducted that from the debtors butte. So it just only goes to the distribution expense since it's already deducted from the trade debtors. But if an adjustment is given, you have to deduct it, right? Then salaries and salaries for administration 25,000. Since it's given, it goes to the administrative expenses. Bank charges 4,000. It goes to the financial and other expenses as this. So later on, since all the entries are made, now what you can do is you can take the total of cost of sales and deduct it from sales and get the gross profit. You add the income to the gross profit and deduct the total of the expenses. So here 250,000 will be the gross profit. 36,000 will be the income while we deduct 67,000 from it. So our net profit will be 184,000. So to check whether we have really done it properly, see the total of assets is 809,000 since I add the net profit to the equity. Since that is also added, only our total of the equity and liabilities tally with the total assets of 809,000. So I hope this is clear to you. This could be expanded with adjustment entries, but always remember, as long as you have a clear mind, as long as you do your accounts properly, this will not be a big issue to you. So I'm going to cover the lesson number 5 here as well without making a separate video, because this part also applies to this same account set or the same financial statements. So in financial statements, usually we make 4 adjustment entries. Those are regarding payable expenses, which we do on accrual basis, receivables, as well as depreciation and bad debts. So first we are going to discuss about accrued expenses. That is, there's an amount outstanding which we have to pay in the accounting period, but we have not yet paid. So because of that, since we are liable to pay it, we have to pay it, but we have not yet paid. So it is a liability to us. So when we do accounts, since we have not paid it, it's not credited to the cash account. So we have to debit the expense account and create an accrued expense account. That's why I called it, it is a liability. So the relevant expense account will be going to the profit and loss statement, and the accrued expense account will be going to the statement of financial position. Now let's take this example. Annual telephone bill is 20,000. The business have not yet paid it during the year. Right? The bill has been received, but we have forgotten to pay it. So are we going to take it to the next year? Are we going to give or omit that exact expense from our accounts? We cannot do that, Putte. So we have to debit the telephone bill account and credit the relevant payable account. So here under administrative expenses, we write telephone bill expense 20,000, and the payable amount will be taken to the statement of financial position. Then it is about the receivables. There are also occasions where we are entitled to receive an income, but we have not yet received. So that means there's a probability of having future economic benefits during a year, but we have not received it from monetary value yet. Right? So since there's an economic benefit probable to be flown into our business, I hope you could remember what we talked about, the characteristics of assets. So similarly, this also become an asset because there are future economic benefits that are going to come to the business in future as they pay us. So this is the accounting treatment. Since income will definitely be recorded in the credit side, the relevant income will be credited. So then there should be a debit entry. We do not debit it to the cash. We did not get money. So we create an income receivable account and debit it. So finally, the income receivable account will go to the statement of financial position, and the relevant income will go to the profit and loss statement. Now imagine you made a fixed deposit and you have to receive 15,000 as interest income by the end of this year, right? You have to receive, but you have not yet received, right? But because it is you or you have to receive, you will create this income during the year, you will record it. So under the income, you will write FD interest income 15,000, and the statement of financial position, as I said, this is an asset. You will create an asset of 15,000. So I hope up to that it is clear to you, right? Since you might miss a particular transaction, I have already done the accounting treatments and shown where it is coming, as well as shown the extractions as well, right? So then bad debts. When goods are sold on credit, we call them as amounts receivable from debtors or trade receivables. But imagine they forget to pay us or they got bankrupt, so they fail to pay. What are we going to do? Are we going to keep them as debtors forever? We cannot do that, Putte. So on that particular year, we have to remove that as a damage or an expense, and we have to stop the particular account or close the particular account. So taking bad debts and recording it as an expense because it is a loss, we write that account as bad debt, right? So that particular account will be debited because we are going to make it an expense and write off from our profit, and the particular trade debtor will be credited. I hope you could remember that we took the total of the debtors to the particular debtor account, right? So if we are going to cut off, we have to credit it, right? So imagine you sold rupees 100,000 worth goods to Nima, and the end of the year he got bankrupt, so he cannot pay us, right? So what will you do, right? You have to debit 100,000 to sales and distribution expense, writing bad debt because we are not going to receive it. It's an expense, we are going to write it off. And from the debtors, we are going to deduct 100. So imagine if the debtors total was given as 500,000. After we deduct that 100, it will become 400,000. And finally, the final adjustment is about depreciation. So I hope you know that all the non-current assets except land has a probable or a possible lifespan. That is, they won't stay forever. They have a particular period of existence. So once we purchase a particular asset without the plan of reselling it, we will depreciate it in a particular lifespan, right? Imagine you take a motor vehicle and the lifespan is 5 years, we depreciate it. That means we think that after 5 years it won't be helping us the same way, so we will depreciate it and keep the funds away, maybe to buy a new vehicle or to use it in another way, right? So what is the treatment of depreciation? The value of depreciation will be considered as an expense, so it will go to the trade and profit and loss statement, and the provision will be credited. That means we deduct it from the non-current asset. Right, imagine you bought a motor vehicle of 200,000 with a lifespan of 5 years. So how do you depreciate? You depreciate the total value, dividing it by the lifespan. So for 1 year, you will have 40,000. Imagine last year we had a provision as well. So for this year expenses, we will write depreciation motor vehicle 40,000. But at the statement of financial position, the cost minus the provision will be 80,000. Why? Because this year we had 40,000, but last year also we had 40,000. So totally 80,000 should be deducted, right? So I hope depreciation part is clear to you as well. So now I'm going to discuss about few tips for your examination. So when you get the paper, as I will be stating in the future videos also, first match the values with the particular title of the account, right? When you do so, you won't be confused. Even if you are stressed, you can do it with a proper clarity. And then make the profit and loss statement and statement of financial positions formats, right? Put please don't make user like take a lot of time on doing the formats. Just take a ruler and a pencil or a pen, start doing it, and if something went wrong, cut it out and start again, right? All or cut it in one line and do it, right? Nobody's thinking about your neatness and cleanliness. As long as it is readable, as long as you have not teared your particular answer sheet, you will be getting your marks, right? So then read all the adjustment entries and correct them. So this is the pattern to go. You first match the values, you make the formats, then you do the adjustment entries, and then you click or tick off those from the trial balance, right? Or you either add those. And then you post all the balances in the trial balance while you post your adjustment entries first. Then you take the net profit to the statement of financial position and add the equity. After that, you see whether the total of the assets equal the total of the sum of equity and liabilities. So I hope this part is clear to you. So hope you enjoyed learning with us. Thank you.